Your liver clears about 1 drink an hour. A pen-tailed tree shrew in Malaysia drinks fermented palm nectar at up to 3.8% alcohol most nights for its whole life. It has never once been observed drunk. You didn't earn your tolerance. You inherited it, and yours is the weaker copy, which is strange because that shrew weighs about 47 grams and shares your basic cleanup enzyme. So do the bats that fly straight after a nectar bender. So do the flies that drink on purpose. So why does a shrew the size of a phone outdrink you every single night? And why does your body tap out first? The answer has nothing to do with a tougher liver. The answer is an enzyme and a dose. Alcohol dehydrogenase, ADH, grabs ethanol and converts it to acetaldehyde, which is the compound that actually poisons you. And a second enzyme has to turn that into acetate before you feel human again. 2 steps. Your body runs that line at roughly 1 drink an hour, and it won't be rushed for you, your body weight, or your weekend plans. Call it the enzyme tax. Fixed rate, no appeals, and the rate was set long before anybody built a bar, which means the tax should flatten anything the size of your palm. Frank Wiens published the Treeshrew work in PNAS in 2008, and the numbers are worse than they sound. The bertam palm ferments its own nectar inside the flower bud, a live brewery running around the clock, topping out at 3.8%. The shrews spend an average of 138 minutes a night parked at those buds. On roughly 1/3 of nights, they take in a dose that would push a person past the legal line for intoxication. No stagger, no slurring. Nothing a camera could catch night after night for years. At that dose, you'd be handing somebody your keys. Evolution set the dose, you raised it, but that can't be the full answer. Because if that shrew runs the same cleanup crew you do at anything close to your speed, the ethanol has to end up somewhere. So the team went looking for it in fur. Ethanol leaves behind a marker called ethyl glucuronide, and tree shrew hair came back loaded with it, higher than in people who drink that hard. The alcohol was going in. It just wasn't landing where yours lands. The team's read is that a share of it gets shunted down a metabolic side road that never passes the part of the brain in charge of your decisions at 3 a.m. Not endurance. Traffic control? You don't have a side road. Everything you drink goes through the front door, and the front door has 1 lane. Once you accept that alcohol gets routed and not simply absorbed, most of what you think you know about drunk animals falls apart. Start with the elephants. You've seen the clip or heard the story at a party. Elephants gorging on fermented marula fruit and staggering across the savannah. It's the most repeated animal drinking trivia on Earth. And it's wrong. Steve Morris and colleagues ran the arithmetic in physiological and biochemical zoology in 2006. An elephant would need roughly 1/400 thoroughly fermented marula fruits on an empty stomach to get anywhere near drunk. Elephants eat fresh fruit off the ground and don't wait around for it to rot. And the 1974 documentary footage everybody pictures was staged. We repeated it for decades because it was funnier than the truth. So did you. Pull the fake case out and the real ones get harder to explain. Orbach and colleagues, PLOS 1, 2010. 6 species of neotropical fruit bat were fed sugar water spiked with ethanol until their blood alcohol hit levels that would end your evening, then released down an obstacle course strung with wires. Flight speed, unchanged. Echolocation, unchanged. The bats threaded those wires loaded exactly as well as sober. Egyptian fruit bats, tested the same year, do slow down. So the tolerance isn't a bad thing. It's a species-by-species bill. Your version of that test is walking from the couch to the bathroom without touching a wall, and you fail it at half the dose. Same enzyme family, same 2-step paperwork your liver files, same chemistry you sat through in high school biology. Completely different result. Evolution set the dose, you raised it, but that can't be the full answer either. Because flying straight is passive, it's tolerance nobody asked for, and nothing out there was using the stuff on purpose until the flies. Milan, Casso, and Schlenka published it in Current Biology in 2012. Fruit fly larvae get parasitized by wasps that lay eggs inside their bodies, and an infected larva will abandon its normal food and crawl onto high alcohol rot instead. The larva survives the ethanol. The wasp growing inside it does not. So a maggot is dosing itself with liquor to kill the thing living in its abdomen, which is a more considered use of alcohol than most of what you've done with it. And the enzyme tax barely enters into it. So if a shrew reroutes it, a bat ignores it, and a fly prescribes it, why do you handle alcohol at all? Matthew Kerrigan answered that in PNAS in 2015, Rebuilding Extinct Enzymes from Ancestral Primates. About 10 million years ago, in the shared ancestor of gorillas, chimps, and us, one amino acid on the class of VADH enzyme changed. 1. That single swap made the enzyme roughly 40 times faster at clearing ethanol, which is the only reason your Friday works at all. The timing lines up with ancestors coming out of the trees to eat fruit off the forest floor, and fruit on the floor is fermenting fruit. Robert Dudley at UC Berkeley calls it the drunken monkey hypothesis. You never earned that upgrade. You inherited a bill your liver has been paying since a dead ape ate bruised figs. Evolution set the dose, you raised it. And here's where it gets stupid. Not one of these animals is better at alcohol than you are. They've simply never met a real dose. Out there, ethanol shows up diluted, packaged with calories, spread across a whole night of feeding. 3.8%, sip by sip. Nothing in nature concentrates it. We do. We are the only species that pulled alcohol out of the fruit and then boiled the water out of what was left. Fermented drinks turn up in the pottery at Jiahu in China around 7000 BC, from Patrick McGovern's residue work in PNAS in 2004. Distilling it to drink is only about 1,000 years old. Almost everything over 15% you can grab for $12 at Costco is younger than the cathedral down the street. The gap was never in your liver. The gap is the still. Every other animal on this planet drinks the exact dose evolution built it for. The treeshrew gets 3.8% because that's what the flower makes. The bat gets what's in the fruit. The fly gets what the rot allows. The toll each of them pays was priced against a supply that never moved. Ours moved. Your enzyme tax hasn't been renegotiated in 10 million years, and we went and engineered a device whose entire purpose is to beat it. Sober. Deliberately, over generations. Then we named the fallout a hangover and blamed the one organ in the building that was doing its job. You're not a lightweight. You're drinking at a concentration no ancestor of yours could have reached. Evolution set the dose. We built a machine to raise it. If you know an animal that handles it worse than we do, put it in the comments. Now you know. Sorry.